The night football and music collided. Nobody inside Madison Square Garden was prepared for what happened when Travis Kelce stepped beneath the lights. The building had hosted championship fights, legendary concerts, and unforgettable basketball moments. But this night felt different. NFL stars, Hollywood celebrities, music icons, coaches, former teammates, and family members had gathered for an event surrounded by extraordinary public speculation, the celebration of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Outside the arena, cameras filled the sidewalks. Fans waited behind barricades, hoping to catch a glimpse of the guests. Inside, however, the atmosphere was surprisingly personal. The giant screens were dark, the famous court had disappeared, and the building had been transformed into an elegant setting filled with flowers, warm lighting, and reminders of two completely different journeys. One journey began in football stadiums, where Kelce built his reputation through toughness, confidence, and championship performances. The other began on small stages before growing into sold-out global tours. Somehow, those paths had crossed, but the biggest story was not the luxury. It was the people who appeared, and the one important figure who did not. Patrick Mahomes arrived with Brittany. Jason Kelce stood proudly beside his younger brother. Reid entered to a wave of respect. George Kittle, Kupp, Baker Mayfield, and several familiar NFL faces crossed team and conference lines to support Kelce. Then questions began spreading through the room. Where was the teammate many fans expected to see? Was his absence simply a scheduling conflict, or evidence of a private disagreement nobody wanted discussed publicly? Before we reveal the guest list, the emotional family moments, and the absence that started a storm across NFL media, tell us where you are watching from. Comment your city or country below. Subscribe for more NFL stories beyond the scoreboard, and press 1 if you believe Kelce's biggest chapter happened away from football, or 2 if you think the game should always come first. The bracelet that started everything. Long before the cameras, celebrity guests, and rumors of a historic celebration, there was only a bracelet. Travis Kelce attended one of Taylor Swift's concerts, with an idea that sounded more like a nervous fan's plan than something created by a 3-time Super Bowl champion. He made a friendship bracelet with his phone number and hoped he could somehow deliver it to her. The plan failed. He never got the opportunity to hand it over. For most people, that would have been the end of an awkward story. Kelce, however, talked about it publicly. He laughed at himself and admitted that he had missed his chance. That moment changed everything. Football fans heard one of the league's most confident personalities sounding unusually vulnerable. Swift's fans noticed that the Chiefs star was not behaving like someone demanding attention. He was simply joking about taking a chance and being rejected by circumstances. Then Taylor appeared at Arrowhead Stadium. The stadium that normally belonged completely to football suddenly became the center of the entertainment world. Cameras found her in a suite. Social media exploded. People who had never watched an NFL game began asking about Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Every appearance created another headline. Every celebration was analyzed. Every expression became part of a much larger story. Some longtime NFL fans complained that the attention had become excessive. Others recognized an opportunity. The league was reaching an audience traditional advertising had never fully captured, but behind the marketing value was something more personal. Kelce's public image began changing. Fans already knew the loud, emotional competitor who could dominate the middle of a defense. Now they saw humor, patience, and a man attempting to protect a relationship under extraordinary pressure. A bracelet that never reached its intended destination had somehow opened a door between two global worlds. And waiting on the other side was Patrick Mahomes, the teammate who understood exactly how much Kelce's life was about to change. Patrick Mahomes, the unexpected bridge. Patrick Mahomes was never just the quarterback throwing passes to Travis Kelce. Their connection had been built through years of pressure. They had survived playoff disappointments, championship expectations, injuries, criticism, and the constant demand to prove that Kansas City's success was not temporary. On the field, their chemistry looked almost impossible to defend. Kelce could abandon the original route, Mahomes could escape the pocket, and both men would understand the same adjustment without speaking. That trust helped transform the Chiefs into a dynasty. Away from football, the bond became even stronger. Mahomes had been present near the beginning of Kelce's unexpected journey. He attended the concert where the now famous bracelet story began. He watched his teammate take a personal risk, laugh when the plan failed, and eventually connect with one of the most recognizable artists in the world. As public attention increased, Mahomes became a stabilizing presence. He understood what it meant to live under constant observation. Every throw he made was judged. Every defeat became national debate. Every success raised expectations for the following season. That made him uniquely qualified to understand what Kelce was facing. Brittany Mahomes also became part of the growing connection. The couples were seen supporting one another during important moments, creating a friendship that blended football, family, and celebrity culture. So when Mahomes entered Madison Square Garden for Kelce's celebration, he was not simply another famous name on the guest list. He represented the years before the worldwide attention. He represented locker room trust, championship battles, and the brotherhood created when two athletes depend on each other in the most intense moments of their careers. Yet Mahomes' presence also raised the stakes surrounding the mysterious absence. If Kansas City's most important quarterback had made the trip, why had another expected teammate stayed away? People close to the situation avoided dramatic explanations. But inside NFL circles, silence often creates louder speculation than any statement. And as more guests arrived, the list began revealing exactly who Travis Kelce considered part of his true football family. The guest list that erased rivalries. The NFL teaches fans to see enemies everywhere. Chiefs against Raiders, AFC against NFC, quarterbacks against defenses, Super Bowl contenders fighting for the same prize. But inside Madison Square Garden, those divisions temporarily disappeared. George Kittle's appearance immediately attracted attention. For years, Kittle and Kelce had been compared as two defining tight ends of their generation. Analysts debated their blocking, receiving production, postseason performances, and influence on their offenses. On Sundays, the comparison created rivalry. That night, it created respect. Kittle's presence showed that elite competitors often understand one another better than fans realize. Both men knew the physical demands of the position. They knew what it felt like to absorb contact, play through pain, carry expectations, and still be judged by statistics. Kupp also arrived, bringing another championship resume into the room. Baker Mayfield appeared. Former Chiefs, current players, coaches, and figures from different corners of the league joined the celebration. Kareem Hunt and Juju Smith-Schuster represented chapters of Kansas City's changing roster. Andy Reid represented something deeper. Reid had helped give Kelce the structure necessary to become great. He coached him through mistakes, emotional moments, injuries, and seasons when raw talent still needed discipline. Their relationship was built on more than play designs. Reid had watched Kelce mature from a gifted young player into a leader whose personality became inseparable from the franchise. The guest list began to feel like a map of Kelce's career. Every person represented a season, a challenge, a victory, or a relationship that survived beyond the scoreboard. But one seat remained the subject of whispers. The missing player had shared meaningful football moments with Kelce. Fans expected loyalty between them. Yet no public explanation fully satisfied the questions spreading online. Was there tension behind the scenes? Had fame changed the friendship? Or were outsiders creating drama where none existed? As the speculation grew, Jason Kelce stepped forward and reminded everyone that the most important relationship in Travis's life had started long before the NFL. Jason Kelce's most emotional assignment. Before Travis Kelce became a Kansas City icon, he was Jason Kelce's younger brother. Before the championships, endorsement deals, packed stadiums, and worldwide attention, there were two brothers competing, arguing, joking, and pushing each other to become better. Their paths through football were different. Jason became the heartbeat of Philadelphia. His physical style, leadership, and connection with Eagles fans made him one of the most respected centers of his era. Travis became the emotional engine of Kansas City's offense, redefining what a tight end could do in the postseason. Then their careers collided on the biggest stage. Super Bowl LV7 placed brother against brother. One family had to celebrate while also comforting the other. Their mother wore colors representing both teams, and millions of viewers saw the emotional conflict behind professional competition. That night became part of NFL history. But standing beside Travis at Madison Square Garden carried a different meaning. Jason was not there as an opponent or retired football star. He was there as the person who remembered everything that existed before fame. In the storyline surrounding the celebration, Jason's role as best man felt inevitable. He could embarrass Travis with childhood memories, challenge him with brutal honesty, and still speak with an emotional weight nobody else could match. When Jason addressed the room, the laughter reportedly came first. That was expected. The Kelce brothers had built part of their public identity around teasing each other. Then the mood changed. Jason spoke about watching his younger brother grow through mistakes, criticism, success, and enormous pressure. He described a man who remained loyal to family even as his life expanded beyond anything they could have imagined. For a moment, the celebrity spectacle disappeared. There were no team rivalries or television narrative. There were only two brothers standing together at another life-changing moment. Yet even that powerful family scene could not stop the unanswered questions surrounding the absent teammate, especially when people began comparing his absence to everyone who had crossed the country to attend. The missing teammate and the growing mystery. Every major NFL story eventually creates controversy. Sometimes the controversy begins with a trade request. Sometimes it starts with a contract dispute, an argument on the sideline, or a cryptic social media post. This time, it began with an empty space. Among the many recognizable guests, one expected Kansas City figure was reportedly nowhere to be seen. His absence might have passed quietly at an ordinary private event, but nothing involving Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift remained ordinary. Fans immediately started building theories. Some believed the player had another obligation. NFL schedules can be demanding even outside the regular season. Training, family commitments, travel issues, and business responsibilities can prevent attendance without signaling any conflict. Others suspected something more complicated. They pointed to changing locker room relationships, the pressure created by Kelce's growing celebrity status, and the possibility that private friendships had shifted as his world became larger. No confirmed explanation supported the most dramatic theories. That did not stop them from spreading. NFL audiences are trained to search for hidden meaning. A player unfollows a teammate, and people predict a trade. A coach changes one sentence at a press conference, and analysts imagine a locker room revolt. Silence becomes evidence even when it proves nothing. The missing guest therefore became a symbol of a broader question. Can relationships remain unchanged when one player becomes bigger than the sport itself? Kelce was no longer recognized only by football fans. His appearances reached entertainment programs, global media outlets, and audiences who had never studied a playbook. That transformation could strengthen some friendships while making others more difficult. But people close to championship teams understand another truth. Teammates do not need to attend every personal event to respect one another. The public sees a guest list. Players see years of private conversations, injuries, sacrifices, and moments outsiders will never understand. Until those involved choose to explain the absence, the responsible conclusion remains uncertain. Still, the speculation revealed how intensely the public was now watching Kelce's life. And that attention became even greater when the celebration introduced a symbol from the past, a classic Chevrolet Chevelle, connected to one of the couple's most memorable public moments. The Chevelle that carried a hidden message. Luxury cars were expected at an event surrounded by celebrities and professional athletes, but the vehicle that captured the most attention was not the newest or most expensive. It was a Chevrolet Chevelle. To casual observers, the classic muscle car represented American style, power, and nostalgia. To fans who had followed Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift closely, it carried a more personal meaning. The Chevelle had become connected to one of the early public chapters of their relationship. It represented a moment when the story was still new, when every appearance created surprise and nobody knew whether the connection would survive the pressure surrounding it. Bringing the car back into the celebration transformed it into a symbol. Kelce's football career had always been built on movement. Route adjustments, explosive catches, broken tackles, and postseason runs defined his professional identity. But the Chevelle suggested something slower and more deliberate. It pointed backward, back to the beginning, back to the period before the relationship became a global industry of headlines, camera shots, debates, and predictions. For Kelce, who had spent his career surrounded by advanced training facilities and high-speed competition, the classic car reflected an appreciation for history. For Swift, whose music frequently turns memories into storytelling, it fit naturally into a night shaped by personal references. Guests reportedly noticed the contrast. Madison Square Garden represented massive scale. The Chevelle represented intimacy. One was built for thousands of spectators. The other was designed for two people traveling together. That contrast captured the entire relationship. Their public lives were enormous, but the moments that seemed to matter most were often small. A bracelet, a stadium suite, a post-game celebration, a private conversation, and a drive away from the camera. The car also reminded NFL fans that Kelce's story was no longer measured only in yards and touchdowns. His image now carried cultural symbolism. Every object, guest, and gesture could become part of a larger narrative. And as the Chevelle disappeared into the New York night, another question followed it. Had Kelce's relationship changed only his own life? Or had it permanently changed the NFL? The relationship that expanded the NFL. For decades, the NFL searched for new ways to expand. The league developed international games, streaming partnerships, alternate broadcasts, social media campaigns, and programs designed to attract younger audiences. Then one relationship achieved what years of marketing could not accomplish alone. People who had never watched football began learning about the Chiefs. They discovered Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Arrowhead Stadium, playoff seeding, offensive formations, and the emotional rhythm of an NFL season. At first, some traditional fans resisted. They complained whenever television cameras showed Taylor Swift during games. They argued that celebrity coverage distracted from the players and reduced serious football analysis. But the camera shots usually occupied only brief moments of a broadcast. The larger reaction revealed something deeper. Football culture was being forced to share space with a new audience. That made some people uncomfortable. Others welcomed it. Parents watched games with children who previously had no interest. Music fans learned why third down mattered. New viewers discovered the personalities behind helmets and shoulder pads. Kelce became the bridge. His humor made him accessible. His success gave the story credibility. He was not a fringe player using fame to remain relevant. He was one of the greatest postseason tight ends in NFL history, a central figure in Kansas City's championship run, and Patrick Mahomes' most trusted target. That combination made the crossover impossible to dismiss. The relationship also changed how athletes understood personal branding. NFL players had always appeared in commercials and entertainment programs, but Kelce demonstrated that an athlete's cultural influence could become nearly as important as performance. There were risks. Too much attention could create resentment. Poor play would invite accusations that outside distractions had damaged his preparation. Every personal decision could become material for debate, yet Kelce continued competing under that spotlight. That may have been the most impressive part. The same man discussed on entertainment shows still had to face elite defenders, study game plans, maintain his body, and perform when postseason pressure reached its peak. The celebration at Madison Square Garden therefore represented more than romance. It represented the moment football fully collided with global pop culture and realized the collision could not be reversed. The price of becoming bigger than football. Travis Kelce spent years proving himself within the boundaries of the NFL. At first, success meant earning playing time. Then it meant becoming Patrick Mahomes' most reliable weapon. Later, it meant winning championships, breaking postseason records, and building a case as one of the greatest tight ends the sport had ever seen. But fame eventually pushed him beyond those boundaries. That created opportunities few players experience and pressure few players can understand. Every game now carried two stories. The first involved football, routes, catches, blocking assignments, defensive coverage, and Kansas City's pursuit of another championship. The second involved everything outside the stadium. His relationship, celebrity appearances, family life, business projects, and the endless public debate surrounding his future. If he played well, the spotlight grew brighter. If he struggled, critics blamed distractions. That standard was unfair, but it was predictable. Athletes who become cultural figures are often judged more harshly because audiences stop separating the person from the brand. Kelce's challenge was therefore not simply maintaining athletic performance. He had to protect the relationships that existed before worldwide fame while navigating new relationships created by it. Patrick Mahomes represented championship trust. Jason Kelce represented family and honesty. Reid represented guidance. The diverse guest list represented respect across the league. The missing teammate represented uncertainty, the reminder that not every relationship survives change in the same way. And Taylor Swift represented the unexpected path that moved Kelce from NFL superstardom into a level of recognition few football players had ever reached. The Madison Square Garden storyline brought all those forces into one room. Celebration and controversy, family and fame, football tradition and entertainment power. Yet beneath the spectacle was a simple human conflict. How does someone continue growing without losing the people, values, and identity that made the growth possible? Kelce's next chapter would answer that question. Retirement discussions would become louder. Kansas City's roster would continue evolving. Younger players would challenge the veterans. Public fascination would not disappear. The final test would not be whether Travis Kelce could remain famous. It would be whether he could remain grounded while carrying a life that had become much bigger than football. The lesson beyond the spotlight. The most important part of Travis Kelce's story may not be the championships, the celebrity attention, or the headlines surrounding one unforgettable celebration. It may be the way he handled change. From a football perspective, Kelce's greatest advantage has always been adaptability. He reads defenses, changes routes, finds space, and reacts before opponents understand what is happening. That same skill now matters away from the field. His life has expanded dramatically. More opportunities bring more pressure. More fame brings more criticism. More success creates more people who want access to the person behind the image. The strategic lesson is clear. Growth must be managed, not merely enjoyed. Kelce must continue protecting his health, respecting the Chiefs' locker room, supporting younger teammates, and communicating honestly with the people closest to him. Kansas City must also prepare for a future in which its legendary tight end eventually steps away. Great organizations honor the past without becoming trapped by it. The guest list revealed the relationships that helped build Kelce's journey. Patrick Mahomes represented trust. Andy Reid represented leadership. Jason Kelce represented family. His NFL peers represented respect earned through competition. The unanswered questions surrounding one missing teammate offered another lesson. People should avoid turning uncertainty into accusation. An absence does not automatically prove betrayal. Silence does not always mean conflict. In a culture driven by instant reactions, patience remains one of the most valuable forms of wisdom. The human lesson reaches far beyond football. Success means little when it destroys trust, family, or inner peace. Real strength is not measured only by trophies, money, or public attention. It is measured by loyalty, humility, and the ability to treat people with dignity when the cameras are gone. Travis Kelce's next chapter will eventually move beyond touchdowns and playoff runs. But the values he carries forward will determine how the entire journey is remembered. Do you believe Kelce can balance love, fame, family, and one final championship pursuit? Press 1 if you believe he can finish his NFL story on his own terms, or press 2 if you think the pressure has become too great. Subscribe to the channel, share this video with another NFL fan, and hit the like button for more powerful stories from inside and beyond the league.